Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and I am here today with my beautiful sidekick at Devotion Nutrition, Kelley, and I'm here also with my beautiful friend who drove all the way down here from Tampa area. Is that what you think? Gennifer Strobo. We've been excited about this one because it's something that we all feel passionate about, that we want to talk about. And this is not going to be a bashing session. This is going to be an experience kind of session where we're sharing our experience, we're sharing our point of views. It's a topic that still comes up a lot. I know for me in my DM, somebody just actually asked me about it the other day. So we're going to be talking about competition, competing in figure, bikini, bodybuilding, that whole arena, and what it takes, and not only what it takes, but the aftermath of competing, because that is where a lot of my bitterness and anger comes in when I talk about competing. I do have, beautiful memories of experiences with competing that I went through, but also the parts that nobody spoke about were the parts that hurt me the most because they were not said, they were not talked about. And I still have, just the other day, I had a girlfriend of mine who I knew up from New Jersey. She's, I don't know, maybe a little younger than me, in her 30s. And she's like, I think I want to compete. I'm going to start lifting weights and I want to compete. I'm going to do this for me. And I'm like, whoa, like slow down.
Oh, you sent me that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, let's first of all, let's slow down and talk about the whole process, because jumping into a sport like that, a hobby like that, whatever, because really for the majority of the people, which it's like 95% of the people, it's really just, it's a hobby, it's a goal, but it does have a dark side and a dangerous, aftermath, or at least some things that really can change you big time. Because doing a competition, going through a prep, doing a show, focusing on your body to that extent absolutely has, a lashback effect. There are repercussions. And so Kelley and Jen and I are going to just talk about our experiences and our thoughts, and you can take them or leave them, but we're just going to share. And So Kelley, you competed in figure. We all did figure.
I did. I started in bikini.
Oh, you did?
I was in the very first year in 2002 when they did bikini.
I didn't know you did bikini. I could never see you do bikini.
I did bikini.
You are not some
when
bikini.
We still had an interview round.
Oh, shut up.
And we did model poses. There was no.
Oh, with the booty. Okay, I was going to say, because I cannot see
that's
Kelley.
MP.
Yeah,
that's not.
No.
That's like.
Oh.
Can you? I know.
I cannot
that's a
see
different
Kelley doing the bikini pose. Like, that's one reason why I've never done bikini. I'm not
either.
doing the poses. So
That's
now.
why because it was a 13-year hiatus from the first year I competed. It was me and 3 guys from the gym. Everybody signed up. It was just kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna do it. I was the only one that showed up.
Oh,
Only one that actually did it. Never anticipated winning, and it was the very first year they had bikini, and it was Muscle Mania. It wasn't even NPC. I didn't even know about NPC.
Okay.
And I was the oldest one there, and then and you had 3 rounds. You had a swimsuit round, and then you had like a sportswear round, and then an interview round where you actually had to, you had to speak.
Oh my God.
And there was a little bit more to it than 20 seconds on the stage and popping your booty and then hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's very different.
And then I won there, and then I went to nationals in Redondo Beach, and I don't know, I think I was 8th out of like 60 girls there. But it was only 2 weeks in between competition. That was my first experience with the post competition or the burnout that comes with it. And I mean, I was so done with it after having to stay on diet for another 2 weeks. And at that point, I mean, for bikini, it's nothing compared to what you do for figure. The extent that you have to be at. So, I mean, I quit. I never competed again until I started dating Fagan. Yeah. And he decided that he was going to do, I mean, I'm 50, I need to do a physique competition. And I'm like, no.
Oh, no, please. No.
Fine. you know.
Yeah.
And then I start looking into it, and I see the whole what bikini has evolved to, and I'm like, that's not really for me.
Yeah, so it's like, by default, I did figure
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm not fitness, I'm not flipping
Exactly.
around, I'm not doing bodybuilding, I'm not
Barely do a
posing
cartwheel.
bikini. Now, I competed. My first show was 2006,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no physique, there was no bikini. It was just fitness and figure, and I started when there was a 1-piece and a 2-piece round.
I remember.
I love
those
the one-piece
The
round.
1-piece suits were so heavy.
So
Because
heavy.
I started
Really?
in 2008, and
Because of all the
they weighed.
Yes.
So you'd pick it up. It's like 5.
I still have
pounds.
mine. Mine are
I still have
so.
one.
Oh my god! I had
really?
Oh, I still have them. Michael
thought you
Mercado,
tossed
who
all your
unfortunately
suits.
passed away, he was a designer out in San Diego, and he made my suits, and they were just rock solid bling. They were
Yeah.
gorgeous, but it was like so silly that we had to buy 2. It cost like it was like $1,000 a suit, and it was
Yeah.
like what a
We spent more on
Wait.
suits than we spent for anything else.
Oh,
It
suits
was
are so
ridiculous.
expensive.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
and now I can't even imagine. I mean, in 2016, I don't know. I think I paid $800 for my bikini.
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
I can't.
Oh, I had a
can't even
suit that
think.
was like 1,600.
Yeah.
Like some of the suit, and you
I got a
want your
deal on
suit to
mine,
be
but-
ultimate. Like you want
Yeah.
it to be like.
Oh, in 2008, I think I rented my first one.
Yeah.
Or no, I bought it from offline from like this little site, and Julie Lower had worn it. She
Oh,
probably-
I've
she
heard-
pro-
yeah.
yeah. She probably has no clue, but that was 2008, and I got that, and it was only like $800. But it was like she had worn it, all these things. But then when I paid for my first 1-piece before I like was sponsored and stuff, it was almost $2,000, and that was in
my gosh.
that was in like before 2010.
and like you think you're like, oh my god, $2,000 for like a suit? Like what is going on? It's the whole thing. Okay, so now we're off to that looter. So
Yeah.
that hasn't talked you out of it right by now. We're just gonna.
back away
I
slowly.
blinged my own first 2. I just bought a blank suit because me, I'm the
Yes, you're gonna
the crafty
craft
and
it, yeah.
costumier, and so I had all my Swarovskis, and I sat there and
Blinged them
blinged
out.
my own.
She
yeah.
bedazzled her own suits.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't bedazzle them. I Swarovski them.
Oh,
There's a
Pardon
difference.
me.
Yeah, there's a difference. But I did do it myself.
So now for me, so my first show was out in Los Angeles. I was really still struggling with my weight, and my mom called me. I was living in LA, and she said, Dana, now Monica Brandt was my idol, and I had her pictures everywhere from like when I was in high school, like plastered everywhere on my notebooks, whatever. And I was like obsessed with her, and which is funny because now like I have her, like we've texted before, so I'm like, when does that ever happen? You gotta like text your idols. But anyway, I moved to LA, and mom said, oh, I saw in a magazine, Monica Brandt works with this coach out in Temecula, California, and it was Kim Odo. And he had the Odo's Angels. And so mom flew out. We drove to Temecula from LA, and we met with Kim. And he was like, well, what would you like to do? Or what? And I was like, I want to do a show. I want to compete. And I want to look like this. Because it was like all about like I wanted to be like this fitness girl. And so he's like, all right, we'll pick a show. And I was like, okay. And I picked the Los Angeles championship or whatever. And I think I had like 17 weeks to get ready for it. 17 or 21. It was a long prep, but I had to lose 30 pounds of body fat.
oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I just got driven into the ground by the end of that prep. And when I say like I was one of those like competitors who was like, okay, well, if the coach says it, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I got to do it. By the end of that show, I was eating tilapia and asparagus. I was crying on 3 sessions of 55 minutes of cardio a day.
I have never like
3 sessions of
I
55
never
a
did
day,
that to anyone.
7 days a week. It was like Groundhog Day. I drove my body into the ground. I remember being at Crunch Fitness in West Hollywood. I was trying to get in my 3rd session of 55 minutes. I was trying to pedal the bike. I was crying. I was like, I can't move the pedals. I was so depleted. I was not allowed cheat meals that entire time. I was so underfed. I burned away muscle. It was a nightmare of a prep. It was a nightmare. I got to the competition. I did it. I completed it, which was like the first time that I was like, whoa. And I did lose weight, which was like, whoa. The first time in my life I like saw my muscle underneath, which God knows how much I lost. But meanwhile, it was a terrible experience because then all I wanted to do, I rebounded so hard. I gained the 30 pounds back. I remember everyone came out to see my show. Everyone flew out to LA. They came to my show. At that point, I was so tired. I didn't even care what I placed. I didn't give a shit. I was like, get this over with. Like now this isn't even fun anymore. I stood on stage. My posing sucked. I put Jantana all over my face and my face looked like.
You did not.
My face.
did not.
Yes, I did Jantana. I didn't know.
Like the biggest
Nobody
sin.
told me. Nobody told me. So I did like that night. And first of all, there was no spray tan.
That's
so
what we had to do it ourselves.
My
We had
best
to
friend
paint.
took a sponge and put like 12 layers of tanner on my naked body the night before.
You had to be really good friends.
You had to be really good
whoever
friends.
was going to do
My
that.
best friend
Really,
Lorraine,
really
I'm
good
like
friends.
bent over and she's like in my butt and
Legs up
she's
on top of the-
she's sponging me down. I was like, I just want to do this freaking show already. And then the day of, I think he saw me. I didn't even freaking look ready. I was holding so much water and inflammation and whatever. So he gave me like a water pill or something. And then I looked like my posing was okay. I mean, it was okay. It was, I don't know, whatever. It was not great. And it was like, I was a mess. My face was a mess, everything. It was not good. But I did it and I was like, okay, I felt accomplished. I felt great. And then we had this big party afterwards and my family went out and they bought all of my favorite foods that I hadn't eaten for like 4 months. So we had like Cheesecake Factory orange chicken. We had a cake from Costco. We had all this stuff. Okay, I was seriously that 30 pounds. First of all, I never wanted to look at chicken, tilapia, asparagus. I didn't want to look at any of that food again. It made me physically violently ill feeling. Yeah. And cardio, if you said the word cardio, it was like, I would have rather you say like a nasty like curse word to me. Like I was like, I don't say cardio. I could not even, there was no, but the problem was, and this is back in the day, and I'm sure Kim has changed his ways now. I pray and hope to God that he did. He never said to me, Dana, we have to reverse diet. Dana, we have to, you're going to have to still do cardio. I want you to have one healthy refeed after the show, and that's back out of this diet. There was none of that. There was no social media.
Don't do that, and that's what we talked about on the last one. Like, you needed to rest, you needed to eat, you needed to do these things.
No,
and so many coaches are like, "Oh, check that box. You hit the finish line. Now I'm done.
Now I'm done." And so then we were done. And then if I wanted another program, I had to re-sign up for another one. And I was like, so I quickly signed back up with him, and he quickly put me on like another diet because I was like, now I wanted to do another show because I'm like, I just want to get back in shape again. And like, how do I get back there again? I ruined my work. And so then there's the post-contest blues because you don't know now what are you supposed to do? Yeah. I didn't even know the lifestyle. I went so extreme. I didn't know that like, oh, okay, what do I do now? How much cardio do I do? What do I eat? How do I keep this body that I just worked so hard for?
You had no guidance.
The dream was over. I felt like Cinderella when the pumpkin, the carriage turned back into the pumpkin and she turned back into rags. That was me. I lived a Cinderella whole thing of this, like doing the show and feeling great and looking great and da-da-da. And I wore my sparkly suit and then didn't know what the heck to do afterwards.
Yeah. That's tough.
That's the problem. Is like, and I saw that so much in the industry. Like, everybody's like, okay, well, and a lot of these like quote gym coaches or whatever, they're like, well, just eat chicken and broccoli all day or fish and asparagus.
Like cookie cutter everybody.
Yeah, and
that's what it was.
They did that, and I mean, I didn't do that, but they did that because they didn't know nutrition. They didn't know what your body
he really
needs.
Didn't.
And they don't know a female's body.
No,
so much
he didn't know. And I don't even, it was so long ago. And I'm sure he's evolved since then and whatever. This is not like a bashing session for the coach, but this is 2006. And every time I checked in, which was only every 2 weeks, I got to check in. I would send my pictures and it would literally be the same diet, and it would be like, let's take out all the peanut butter this week. Now let's take out the oatmeal. Now let's take out, and by the end, it was like I was probably functioning on like 700 calories. This is where my whole horrifying. Volume. The only thing that I did not listen to a coach ever in my whole life was about vegetables. I'm like, screw you. I'm going to eat as many goddamn vegetables as I want because I'm starving and I'm starving. So I used to then, if he had like 4 ounces of chicken or fish on my plan, that's when I got into my big ass salads. So I would be like, and that I think that's the only thing that truly saved me. Because I have friends who've competed where they're like, my coach said 5 asparagus. And I'm just doing those 5
ridiculous.
asparagus. And I'm like, no, like, they put it on your plan.
I mean,
but
you
like,
could have 7 for like 4 calories more, but okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm like, so I did not care. I was like, no, if not, like, I'm telling you, I don't know how I would have survived that. And I probably, who knows, but it was because it would say a cup of broccoli was like the size. And I'm like, a cup, like, get the hell out of here. I would go and load up on so many vegetables because I was out of fats, out of carb, like any type of carbs. So I'm like, all I was eating was like a small amount of protein. And I mean, I was stressed. I was emotional. I was a mess. I was a mess.
That's one place. I mean, I will. I mean, obviously, the first time I didn't have a coach in 2002. Then when I came back, I didn't like Fagan's coach, so I was like, okay, I've done this before. I'll just kind of jump back in and see what I can do on my own. But when I decided that I wanted to try and go to nationals, and I hired John, well, I researched some, and then I worked with John. He was absolutely the best. He never did. I never had anything crazy. My check-ins were great. He made adjustments as necessary. But I never felt deprived. I think I showed you that text message. It was so funny. I was going through my phone with screenshots, and I found a text message where I was 3 weeks out from nationals, and I had gone up to train in Houston with him, and then my daughter was with me, and he texted me and said, "You need a cheat meal." I said,
Like a cheat meal?
like a real cheat meal? Like
What are you recommending?
Like
Because then you're
anything that I
afraid.
can have.
Now you're afraid to do anything.
Can I do it? He said anything you want. And so then, then of course, then that's when your mind starts going, you're like, "Ooh, gee, I don't want to waste it. What do I really, really want to get?"
Yeah.
But even I never had to do any of that crazy stuff. So I guess that was one of the pluses the second time around. Was not. I mean, I didn't cut carbs. I didn't do any of that crazy stuff. Just stop drinking water at midnight the night before, which is typical, normal.
Right.
All he did was increase my carbs. He said, if you're ready 2 weeks out, then you don't have to do any of that crazy stuff. Just be ready.
Yeah, I had a great experience too, but also we talked about this earlier. Being type 1 diabetic, I always kind of had to eat. I outlived that lifestyle because I kind of had to. And it's not like have to, it's just like I knew what to eat for my body. And so I did not have it, but I witnessed so much that I think that's where I would get so frustrated because I was already a nutritionist. Mm-hmm. So I witnessed so much and so many people like harming their bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the right mindset. You had the headspace and you had the education. That is the
But then I
dangerous
watched so many
part.
people going into it and they're like, I've been
100%.
doing this, I've been doing that, I've been doing this. And then backstage, they've got these bags full of just crap. And I'm like,
Yes.
ugh. Like after a show, I would literally, the one thing I wanted was this giant crunchy salad. And then I'd have a bite or few of the appetizers that everybody wanted. And I would want a pitcher of Diet Coke with a straw in it.
Yeah.
Like that was, but I just wanted like all that freshness of like the giant salad and feel that fullness. And then I would have a few bites of a few things.
Yeah.
But I kind of knew how to reverse also. But you would just watch these people go crazy. And I'm like, oh, tomorrow's not going to be pretty for them. And then the next day's going to be worse. And you see them a week later and you're like, who are you? And they had no guidance. And that is where I started to get like very frustrated because I'm not going to step on their coach's toes. But I'm like, I see all this stuff. And it's like, you're just harming these people so bad.
And it's very dangerous. So each time that I competed, I educated myself more. I worked with different coaches to compete. And each time my experience got better and better and better and better. And so, now I did have my rebounds again. I had to learn. The way Dana's life has always gone is I have to learn the hard way so many times. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've had to fall on my face and really eat it a bunch before I finally was like, okay, this isn't working. And nutrition was not a thing that I understood completely yet. I was learning my body. I was learning, I was putting all the pieces together. And so every show got better and better. And then I started coming up with the tricks to which was also how Devotion was born, which was making the fluffs and the Devotion lattes and enjoying my pancakes and doing things so I didn't feel deprived. Because then by the time the last show I ever did, Devotion was already born. Devotion was, I used Devotion through my last two preps and
Yeah,
by the
we did
time
those together.
Yeah, by
Yeah.
the time I finished my show, I was just craving a fluff, and I was craving a big
Yeah.
salad with a salmon. Like I really just was like, my mindset had shifted from start to end, where I was like, wow. And that's kind of when I knew it was like, okay, Dana, it's time to step away, because you actually completed. You actually stepped away with a bigger trophy, which was truly understanding nutrition, and you truly understand your body now. It took me a heck of a lot to get there. It was not healthy. Now, the mindset, though, what it did for my body image is another area I want to talk about, because the eating, it can definitely screw people up with their food, the way they look at food, the way that they think things are good and bad, and the way that that towards the end of a show, for the majority of people, if you're not like genetically blessed or you're not getting a lot of help or whatever the reasons, it can get intense to get that last amount of body fat off. And it's a lot for a normal person to handle, but for anybody to handle. I mean, even the people at the very top are like feeling like look, I, have had a lot of great conversations with even Phil Heath. I mean, I'm got close to them, and with Phil, he was even like, by the end of like my shows, I feel like death. Like I'm so lean, I'm so hungry, I'm so whatever. It's like, so even you could be the best in the world, and it is a mentally hard sport.
Well, and that's like for me, like going to the Olympian stuff, but then you now have the pressure of that show and sponsors and all these things too,
All the things that
on
come with
top
it.
of you.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't want to fuck this up.
I don't want to let anybody down. Now I have my whole family coming. Like I've paid all this money. I have this amazing suit. I paid all this money. I've got people watching. I paid for the show. I came this far. What it costs to even eat on a prep.
You don't want to let them down.
Yeah, even that's a lot. Like the whole thing. So now you've got this body, which in my case, because I never went pro, and I really I loved the aesthetics of competing. That to me was like my trophy. I didn't even, by the end, when I would compete, I didn't even care what I played. I was like, yes, I want to win. Of course, everybody wants to win. But I was like so thrilled with just like accomplishing this goal for myself. And I felt like when I walked away, like I had this, like my body was my trophy, that I could really be like, wow, like this is like a win that I did this. But on the other hand, it kind of messed me up, because it set a standard in my mind of what I thought my body needed to always look like. And then to be able to live that way and look that way and walk around that way. And then you feel kind of like ashamed that people would see you. And if you don't look like that, they're like, well, what happened to you? You looked amazing.
Body dysmorphia is
and it's
real.
like, yeah. And I was,
Especially if you're looking at the stage photos.
Yes, it's real.
That 24 hours is complete.
or the couple weeks
the
before
tan
a show,
and the lighting and all that
and
stuff.
a couple weeks before the show, when you're really looking tight and you're walking around, everyone's seeing you in the gym, and they're like, damn, you look great, and you've got like shredded abs, and your arms look great, and everything's looking great.
Ab veins.
And then how many
You're the
people
queen of
don't
the
want to
gym.
go back
Yes.
to the gym after a show? Or like I have girlfriends who they're just like, I wear baggy sweatpants and gyms, and I'm ashamed, and I don't want to show up at the show at the gym and everybody see me because they just saw me like 2 weeks ago looking shredded, and now like post show, like I'm holding so much water, I don't look as good, and it's like you feel
It's
shame.
a mental mind game.
It is.
Like so much.
It's
Just
so
competing
men-
in general is a
Yes.
mental mind
It
game.
is.
But it does empower you. Like I will never negate what it did for me
Right,
beneficially, because it gave me a lot. And it
Yes.
gave me an outlet to show how much nutritional background that I have.
Yes.
And I got my culinary certification doing those recipes and doing all those things, and that's how I traveled the world. Like still eating like all my, like you said, the pancakes and my muffins and my bars and all those things. But that nasty side, that like in the closet kind of thing,
Yeah.
it's still with me.
Yep. You,
Very much so.
You do
it's
take
emotional.
that, because I'm like you. I will never say like that. I don't owe a certain amount of what I learned a lot. The discipline that had to go into that, the structure, the really understanding my body and being more in tune, and all of those things I would not change. I got to learn, but the other side of it was also a battle with how we feel about our bodies, and the once you hit that standard of where, like, once you see that what your body can do, you're like, I should be able to I should be able to look like that. Why can't I walk around like that? And then, but it's like you're hard on yourself if you don't. If you look in the mirror, and all of a sudden you feel like now you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I used to look in the mirror and I had these like you could see my quads and my abs and I looked so great and people were giving me so much attention and they were like commenting, and now like nobody says anything. Do I look kind of like normal? Do I look average? Do I not look?
Or they're still saying it. But
you don't even
you're
believe
not
it.
believing it.
That's the thing is,
what
don't
they
believe
see
it.
is not what we're seeing when we look in the mirror, because we've grown so accustomed to and psyched ourselves out that we have to fit this aesthetic, that when you get a little softer and you actually look like you actually want to look, because we all want to be a little more feminine. Nobody wants to walk around striated 24/7, 365. That's just it's gross, or even that big. Yeah. You know, you don't want to look like that. We want to look female. We want to look like women.
But it's still like, but yet that
But
high.
it
plays
it's
a part no matter
mindfuck.
what. Like every morning, full disclosure, every morning when I get up, sometimes I'm like, all right, so I'm a little too lean right now. Like we talked about some of the health things I'm going through, which is frustrating to me because one, people don't know where I came from and what I did in the industry, but then they don't understand why right now. And they're like, oh, you're still like worked up about this and you're still that. And I'm like, really? I'm not, but I still do. It does pass through my head. It passes that barrier probably every single day, or when you go into the gym, because you're not lifting as heavy as that girl over there doing that, at the beginning of her journey and things. And it's really, really difficult because we beat ourselves up over it.
Yes.
Even though like, how successful you are and you've got, and I try to tell people all the time, don't let it define you. Let it be part of you.
Yes, that's a good
It doesn't
way.
change who you are, who you are at the core, but it can affect that so much.
Oh, yeah. It affects me all the time.
I mean, you go to get in the shower. Women in general, we all go to get in the shower and we look and we are going to say something negative about ourselves.
Yeah.
Probably 99% of the time.
Oh, yeah. No, I do.
I'm like, you're getting naked in that mirror. Nobody else is there. At our age, we just want to walk across the bedroom feeling confident, whether there's someone sitting there or not.
Yeah.
But you get in the shower every single day, and I'm like, I bet you say negative things about yourself.
You catch something, and you're just like, oh, if I could just get rid of this little thing right here,
and you're
just pick
pinching
ourselves
something
up
that
and
no
pinch
one
it.
else can even find. They're like, that's your skin. That's like literally your skin. What are you pinching?
Yeah, and you're thinking, and then the funny thing is like, even if you get. Like Greg will take a picture of me that he thinks looks so great, or we're in the gym and he sends me a video of me working out and he thinks it's awesome, and then I'm like, ew, I'm not posting that. Like,
Exactly.
look at my whatever belly
World's
looks like, or ew, I've got a roll in the back of my back.
Look at my left butt cheeks too.
And he's like, and then he's looking at me and he's like, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even see that. And I'm like, you didn't see that? I look disgusting. How could you do? And, and all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'm not going to video you anymore. It's like, but it's like so funny because we find stuff that other people aren't even
Nobody else even sees
or
it.
they're like looking at me like he'll say like, Dana, women would love to look like you. Like I get so many compliments on my before pictures. They're like, I would love to look like what you post as your before picture. And I'm like, what? And then I'll even see my after picture and I'm like, oh, I could have been better. And it's like, what is wrong with me? Like it's such a mental.
We just hold ourselves to this standard that was
True.
It's like a fake standard.
And it's like, where did it even come from? Where did it come from?
I love that we hold ourselves to a standard of fitness and health,
yes,
and vitality,
Yes.
and all of
self-improvement.
that
We talked about that on other episodes. You should always
want something better and more
work to
and
improve
do more
yourself and
to do
take pride in yourself. That's not
but
what this is.
like
And
a
that's what
fake standard that we're holding ourselves to.
Yes.
Because we saw those stage pictures.
Yes, and such a mind game, because even after, I'll never forget this, after, it was right before I moved, so probably in early 2019, and I was going through, and at that point I was still really lean. I mean,
you stayed lean for a while.
Up until I hit menopause.
Yeah. No, you stayed lean for a while.
Like, don't get me started. That's what I do. You're fine.
And then,
you look amazing.
But one of my friends, I was really down on myself one day, and she said, and to date, it's one of the best compliments I've ever got in my life. She said, Kelley, you make other women want to be better.
Oh,
that is an amazing compliment.
That was today. It still gives me.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things I've ever. I was like,
I feel like that's like I mean a common,
and
that's what we want to do.
Exactly.
When I
And
show
that's
up
our
on
mission.
Instagram,
That's literally our
but at
mission.
the same time, we can show others grace, but we can't extend that to ourselves. So It's really bad. I don't know. I'll forever be, even though I did not want to compete when I started dating Fagan, I'll be forever grateful because had I not, then I wouldn't have found devotion.
Right.
Because everything that I used
always
in 20
it's a path.
Yes,
I mean,
in 2002
yeah.
was gone, and that's what I was searching for. Was something that tasted
Look,
good.
if I hadn't competed, I wouldn't have
Exactly.
found-
You would have never
I ne-
founded.
Yeah.
I would
or
have never
founded
even
devotion.
right. I always was calling myself the flex flavor innovator because it's like
Yeah. I remember that.
invented flex flavors because
Yes.
I was eating cucumbers as my dessert at night, and I was like,
With
with like
Splenda or
Splenda
something,
or
yeah.
cinnamon and all that.
Oh,
and
little
then,
stevia on there is
little
always
Yes.
stevia, yeah. And so then I was like, okay, what if we put flavors on this and like that, and then that's how the whole thing was born because out of like desperation because I was so
Yes.
bored with my diet, but then I thought like, but this could keep you like devoted all year because
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be where the show ended and then so did my fitness look ended. So I was like,
100%.
can I keep this?
Well, and that's
physique?
like my path. I'll never negate what the industry did for me because
Yeah.
it helped me find an outlet for my nutritional background and knowledge
Yes.
and just want to help all. It started with helping those people that had coaches that were running them into the ground.
Yep.
But then it stemmed out to like let me just help those that just want to walk into a room and feel good.
Yes.
Feel good in their clothes, feel good in their own skin, and be able to look people in the eye and just have a conversation. And that's like my mission is just help women and men
Yep.
just feel good and
Yeah.
utilize this. So I would never have started branching out from the hospital working in nutrition had I not competed.
Yeah.
And I would have never found that outlet. And so you got to be grateful for that.
That's
God
all of
has
our
a path
missions. Like
for
yes.
all of us, and
Yes.
He shows
100% he
you should
does.
find like from anything that's a good experience or a bad experience, you should find a way to like lead it into something else.
Yep. That's where we all align. Our mission is to help people live their best life. Like that's when I was developing the devotion products, I still have a picture, which actually I think we used on a video on TikTok of I had this gigantic Post-it thing on my desk at my parents' office when I was working, and I made like wings, and I was trying to like come up with like what was the concept of devotion. I put devotion, and it says in quotes, and I wrote it in a marker to help people stay devoted
Yes.
to their healthy lifestyle, and that was like my mission. And I wrote it down, and then I was like, and I thought, it's to their healthy lifestyle. That's it. Whatever you're into, I don't care. I mean, if you're, and then it's funny because then we had like a vision
so many
board,
different levels.
and we even had an old man raking his front lawn, and we were like, devotion, like help somebody stay devoted, because we were like, yeah, this is for like no matter
for
if
everybody.
you just want to be healthy to do your own yard work, if you want to be, if you're a yoga enthusiast or you're a runner or you're whatever, it's like we just want you to feel your best doing whatever it is you're doing. Even if you want to
Exactly.
be a mom who's like, I need the energy to keep up with my kids' travel soccer schedule, and it's crazy, and I want to.
And I'm always tired and I'm always run down. Or
Yes.
I want to keep up with the grandkids. Or,
Yes.
Yep.
I want to be 80 and be able to get out of bed on my own.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Yes.
Yep. And we all know protein is, the
it is the building block of what you're going to be able to
Yep.
do.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
That's what I was telling you. I wrote.
Not just
I
for
think
muscles. I mean, for your bones, for everything.
I wrote
all
about
parts,
like,
yes.
it's like, it's way more than what whey is.
Whey.
Yes.
Because it's for so many aspects and it's for every generation. I don't care if you are 10 years old or if you are 100 years old.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need to have protein.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we made my grandpa devotion shakes until he was 89 and he had a stroke, and we were making him shakes just to keep his energy up and his
Yep.
I mean it doesn't matter. And then our my kids started taste
Yep.
testing when they were 3 years old for devotion, and so
Freya
it's,
loves protein
yeah,
yogurts.
Yep, your granddaughter
Yep,
and
she loves them.
yep.
I just recently helped a person that had throat cancer, and all the radiation and treatments they could not swallow, and they were losing weight like by the day. And the doctor was like, "You lose 2 more pounds, and you're going on a feeding tube."
Oh my gosh.
And he reached out to me and he said, "I know you can get me like some protein."
Yeah.
And what do I put in it to try to get some? I've got to gain some weight. He's now in remission, but he literally lived off of protein shakes. And I was like, okay, so you're going to need a fat and a carb, and this is what you can put in it that's going to be easy to swallow,
Yeah.
and all of those things. And he went, and he's now in remission, and he's like, literally, you're the little angel that saved my
That's
life,
fantastic.
because I was determined that I was not going to do the feeding tube, so I was just going to let it go.
Yeah.
And it was all over just drinking protein shakes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It can help everyone.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Protein is.
I think we can all agree we're all very passionate about our protein. To say the least. So, all right. So, any stories that you guys want to share though about your competition years? Anything? I mean, I've had things where the tanner turned me completely green.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that was a whole nightmare. And I woke up and I was like freaking out. Okay, what about this one? Because I was like, I was like thinking in my head, like, what are some like some crazy things that I didn't know about competing or that I didn't know? Okay, so one of my last shows, towards the end, I was told by my coaches, just eat white fish. The whole last every meal was fish, like even breakfast. Wait, you ready for this? So I thought that I was just slick, and tilapia makes me bleh, it was gross. I made some, I tried to wrap it in the foil and take it with me, and then it would get slime on it, and then I'd unwrap it. And I'm eating tilapia while I'm driving, and it had slime, and I was like, okay, I got to find another fish. Then I love sea bass, but it got so expensive because sea bass was $40. Okay, so I ate so I saved my sea bass for my last meal because this was just the couple peak week, the end. And so then I was I found this fish, and I was like, this fish is delicious. It's called orange roughy.
So I'm just gonna be
Jen knows what I'm gonna say.
How many times did you poop yourself?
Ready? Okay, so I
how many times?
thought I hacked the system. I'm like, oh my God, this prep is so
I
easy.
love orange roughy, but you gotta be careful.
Orange roughy is freaking delicious. So I bought I went to the store, I bought all this orange roughy. I'm like, I baked up trays of orange roughy, prepped it all. I'm like, here we go. So I don't know how many days into eating orange roughy, I probably had, and I didn't know why it was called orange roughy either until I all of a sudden I get this feeling, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. Oh my God. And I run, okay, this is TMI, but I think it started coming out, and it wasn't normal. It wasn't it wasn't poop or anything. It was orange.
Was it? I was gonna say, was it greenish orange?
It was bright
because it has
orange.
undigestible fats in it that pulls fat from your body.
Okay, so yeah, it was bright orange slime coming out of my rear end.
Oh yeah.
Now I had already eaten so much orange roughy that all day long I had it. It comes out of your butt without even you aware. You are literally. I had on my pants a thing that it looked like I had my period out of my butt, and it was orange.
Oh, see, mine would be orange and green.
Oh my God!
And then it's literally you just poured olive oil into the toilet water,
into the toilet water. And
I have never had orange roughy. I can say,
this is
and
just
I don't
your
think
warning.
I'm ever going to have it.
Oh,
it
Oh my God.
This is so much, but
this is
you flush the toilet, and it stays
it's oil.
in the toilet.
It stays in the toilet.
Oil.
There's a ring around your toilet
because it's oil.
Guys, I pooped bright orange highlighter pen oil. It was in my pants. I stained pants without even knowing it. I was like, what in the hell happened? I didn't even know.
Gosh.
And then a friend of mine who also was into bodybuilding, I texted him and I was like, yo, did you? And he's like, you got the roughy runs. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is the worst thing ever. So,
I mean, it's a great fish, and I still to this day love it.
But you once.
But you can't eat 5 or 6 meals.
Okay, I was eating it
at 3 ounces a meal because.
Okay, so there's a lesson for you. I hope everyone has that. This is your take-home lesson today.
If you're going to
you want to compete, do not.
Or if you're eating orange roughy like that,
one meal per
you
day,
need to purchase Depends while you're there.
Yes, lesson learned. It was that was one of the most wild experiences with competing. And I thought I was being slick, and I was like, oh my God, I have
you were being slick, an oil slick.
an orange oil slick. Oh my God, they was so gross. So yeah, that was that was my
Yeah, I can't even think of anything after that.
Well, and I would always tell people that they're like, oh, I use Mrs. Dash because people think that you're not supposed to have salt. You are. But they would use Mrs. Dash on everything. And I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. The reason why the guy got off the treadmill next to you is because you smell like Mrs. Dash because
you stink.
All of those spices are coming out of your body, and you're using it so much to cover up the flavor of that asparagus
that you
or whatever.
Stinking.
That you literally smell like Mrs. Dash.
Yeah.
And now if you're eating fish every single meal, you smell like you've got some situations
Issues.
going on that you need to
Yeah.
fix, and a dirty hamburger of spices.
Yeah, you end up
You
smelling
just
like-
reek of that. Like, that's just what it's coming out of your pores. Asparagus, the iron.
Oh, the asparagus and your pee
the
is
iron
stinky.
smell
Yes, the asparagus
of
pee is the
asparagus
gross.
pee. Like, it's just coming out of you, and you just there's nothing feminine about that.
No.
You're
That's something
pooping
that
your
they
pants
really
and
should
you're
have told
peeing
you.
The whole
iron.
thing is gross.
And people are always like, you
Somebody
guys
should
look
have warned you when you eat that much asparagus. What's gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah,
when
the
get
iron,
rushed,
like
you're
you smell every time.
What
you
is wrong
pee.
with me?
And they're like, you look so amazing on stage. And I'm like, well, we haven't showered in 3 days.
Yes.
Oh my God, no
We've-
one can wear deodorant
You
backstage.
can't wear deodorant or anything, and then you're so like quote clean that everyone reeks.
Everyone
you're
reeks.
pooping your pants.
It's disgusting.
You have not washed your hair in 2 days, and it has more hairspray than like you even need to think about.
Yeah.
And you've spackled makeup and green tanner on your body.
The best thing is showering after a show. Like you can't wait.
Yeah.
That was the
Just
first thing I did before I
Yeah.
went anywhere.
anywhere. It
Same.
was gross.
You just sit in the shower and you're like, I just want my sweatpants, my slippers, and my ponytail.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
by
want
the way,
nothing to do with any of
and,
that.
and a dangerous part for me was that with some of my rebounds, I did a show once. It was over 4th of July weekend, and then I went to a barbecue after Team U, and we had a big 4th of July barbecue, and I swelled up. I had so much sodium because they pulled so much soda. I don't even know, or water pills, or what the hell was happening. But I swelled up. My mom was scared I could have a stroke. I mean, it was
The edema
dangerous.
is painful.
It was
when
edema.
When
I
that
had edema.
happens to you. Plus, it was probably warm that weekend.
Yes, it was very hot, and so I had edema like when I was pregnant with Bodie, where you
wow.
could like stick your finger in my leg. I blew up. I looked like it was. I went through so many. Everything that I do, I go through everything so I can share with all of you. If you have a problem out there, I mean, I have been through it, and I will probably, it's just like I have to do it the hard way. Like I have to like learn my lessons. Like you can't eat hot dogs after you compete. You can't just do that type of stuff. Like put that stuff right back into your body.
Yeah, it's like have a hot dog, but maybe start drinking some water.
Yes.
Right, I didn't.
And a lot of
drink
people
enough
don't want to
water.
drink any water. They're just chugging like whatever. Or people that have like, I don't drink, but people that have abstained from alcohol forever and then they go and drink a ton of it.
Oh yeah, that's me.
They are
Well,
miserable.
I mean, not meaning that's what, but that was my experience.
Okay, you lush.
No,
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 just-
no. Meaning, like at times when I'll drink, it's because I don't drink. So
Yeah.
then,
So
I'll,
then
like,
when you drink, you're
then I
way
drink.
drunk, and then you lose inhibition. So now instead of just one hot dog, you've now had 7.
Yes.
Yes.
And all the potato chips. And so then you've got all that salt, all that alcohol, and you look like a whale.
I did. I look like it
And
was,
you're
it
not
was
only sick from being
mortifying,
freaking hungover, you are sick from like,
and it's
The
dangerous.
food hangover
so
and everything,
dangerous.
all that stuff that's in there.
It's very dangerous.
and you're sweating.
My mom
Yes.
would get really scared, and she's like, "Could you stop doing like?" So finally, after my last show, everybody told me that if I ever competed again, nobody was coming. My mom said, "I will not come to another show." My brother told me, I think everybody in my life was like, "We've had enough. Like, this isn't healthy for you anymore. Like, can you just live your healthy lifestyle?" And then, to be honest with you, because I have twin girls, I didn't want to make it about my competition. I didn't want it like to see. It was cute that they would be like doing the little poses or like Bodie was whatever. But I was like, I don't want you guys seeing me so fixated on because I would see other women like mom competitors and their daughters were little too, and they're all doing bikini poses. And I was like, ew, that creeped me out. I didn't like that. So I
100%.
was like, I don't want my girls doing that. And I also don't want them competing. So I'm not gonna, and I'm a lead by example. So then I was like, okay, we're done. And so now it's just like everything is like, we just do a healthy lifestyle. We lift weights to be strong. Bryce is gonna become a runner. She's gonna do track with Greg. So she's like running 2 miles with him every other night now when they're training. I'm like, let's just do those things. Like,
Yeah.
let's just do
Let's
those.
just be- No, I tried I would keep pretty balanced with my kids.
Yeah.
We would have cinnamon
You
roll.
were good at it.
Cinnamon roll Friday, so they would get cinnamon rolls for breakfast, like the Pillsbury canned, like
Yeah.
those are great.
Yes.
But they would have cinnamon roll Friday, and so I remember I would smell the pan just because I knew. I mean, if I
Yeah.
really wanted one, I could have had it. But I remember 2 days before a major show, I burnt my stomach from leaning against the
Oh my
pan
God.
to smell it. But we would have that. And I remember there was only one time my youngest daughter, she asked me, she's like, "Mom, will you make those brownies?" Whatever. So, and I was like, "I'm not making brownies. I have to compete in a couple weeks. I'm not doing that." And she just looked at me and it kind of set me straight. But she said, "We are not competing in the Arnold."
Wow. Yep.
So
set you straight.
So I made the brownies, but I licked the spoon.
Yeah.
And when you get, as a diabetic, especially, you know, and you're super lean, the sugars made my veins all pop out. And my daughter came in and she's like, "Did you lick the spoon?" And I said, "Yeah." And she looked at me and she goes, "Winners don't lick the spoon."
Oh my God.
Wow.
I had a shirt
As
made
a
for
kid,
that, but made a shirt like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, first of all, she goads me into the brownies. And now it's like, winners don't lick the spoon. You know, but
God.
I tried to keep balance with them because, you know, they were older. They were, you know, I mean, they're 25 and 28 now. So they're, you know, much older than your girls. And they were in their teens. So it was like, you know, we were going through a lot. Prom dresses. And I would have to be at homecomings and do all of these things. And I tried to, I mean, I'm sure I effed up. We all did.
No, it's
we
okay.
all do with our kids.
Sounds like you did a good job.
But I tried
You
to
did
do
a
my
good
best
job.
with them.
Your
I'm sure they're
girls are-
probably
We all did.
listening, rolling their
Yes.
eyes, going, "Oh,
No. It's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah. All right. Well, this was a fun episode. I probably unleashed a little bit more than some of you wanted to hear about my.
It was
my,
a slick
my orange.
episode.
Like my orange roughy experience.
I feel like we
but-
could have like episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of
Yes,
this because there are a lot of
we
deep,
can.
dark.
A lot.
We are going to.
There's
We're
a lot
going
of
to
deep,
dive.
dark holes that we could go down.
When we are going to for sure. But anyway, that was just the beginning. And if you heard this episode and you want to reach out to me about my orange roughy experience, don't hesitate. I can feel. Let me know if you've had the same. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining in, and we will see you next time on Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.